So when you hit your 200 backhand, you have to make sure that your left hand drops below the ball in an angle of... What the bro, this thing, man? This is horrible.
I think you borrowed from another YouTube channel.
Yeah, but this is not what I'm gonna explain to my viewers because they're not gonna be able to run it. So this, you know what? I think I'm just gonna improvise. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do tips that they're gonna be able to use, because at the end of the day, that's what they wanna learn, right? So I'm gonna show you a few tips that no matter the age or the level that you have, you are gonna be able to use it in a very practical way. So the main thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna know the main 3 mistakes that you do on the backhand. Now you're gonna be thinking, okay, that sounds great at it, but how are you gonna find that out if you have never seen me playing before? Well, I'm gonna tell you that I've been teaching for a few years, and I've noticed that there are 3 main patterns of mistakes that people do on their backhand. So I'm gonna tell you how to do it. And do you know the best thing? You're gonna be able to discover by yourself what mistake are you doing, because I'm gonna give you the tools so you can do it by yourself. So now you're gonna be thinking, I mean, that's great, but who cares about the mistakes that I do if I don't know how to correct it? I'm gonna need to find a coach and he's gonna need to try to help me out after I tell him the mistakes. Don't worry guys, I got you covered. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you the mistake, you're gonna be able to find it out by yourself, but I'm gonna also give you the tools to correct that mistakes. I'm gonna give you the exact drills that you should be doing depending on the mistake that you are doing on your backhand, and you're gonna be able to work on that by yourself without needing to hire a coach or needing to spend 1,000 hours improving your backhand on the tennis court. So let's get into that. So now you're gonna be thinking, how am I gonna be able to find the mistakes by myself? Well, don't worry, I'm gonna tell you right now how we're gonna do it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you in slow motion before we do any mistake, so you can see by yourself what do I mean by the mistake that we're working on. And then you're gonna go to the tennis court, you're gonna record yourself doing that backhand, and you're gonna be able to find if you are doing one of these 3 mistakes. I'm telling you already that 90% of you guys, you're gonna do it at least one of these ones, if not all 3 of them. So this video is gonna be really helpful for you. So the first thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna explain you the mistake. I'm gonna show you a slow motion of that mistake so this way you can see it, and then I'm gonna give you drills to improve it. So let's get into it. So the number 1 mistake that we're going to be talking about is bringing the elbows next to your body on the backswing and the follow through. If you're doing this mistake, you are probably lacking power on your backhand, because you're not going to be able to do a big follow through because you're bringing the elbow next to your body on the backswing, which is going to lack of length of that follow through, and you're not going to be able to get depth of power on your ball. So I'm going to be showing right now the slow motion. You're going to be able to see how the elbows are bringing next to the body on that backswing, and that produces that on the follow through the arms are completely bent and doesn't allow you to get any power at all on the backhand. Okay, so for the first drill, what we're gonna need is we're just gonna need a couple of balls. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a few shadow swings first. Okay, so for the first one you don't even need balls. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on taking the racket back very slow and focus on keeping the elbows away from your body on the whole backswing. So as you take the racket back, make sure the elbows are very far from the body. Look at my elbows. You can see them perfectly far away from my body. Also, make sure you don't take the racket too far back on this side, okay? The racket stays on the same side of the body. And from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a slow motion of that follow through. So we're gonna go very slow, hit the ball, and keep going up. Very important on that follow through. Finish with the elbows very far from the body. Don't bring it next to you. So again, racket back very slow, hit the ball, keep doing the follow through, and keep the elbows away on the whole motion. So if you find yourself that you are bringing the elbows next to you, focus on this first part of keeping them away, and from here keep doing that follow through. Now for the second drill, what we're gonna do is you're gonna need a partner, and you're gonna need something like, it can be a basket, it can be a chair, it can be whatever. So what I have right now is I have a basket and I have my friend Sergey that he's gonna come to me and he's gonna help me out feed some balls. So what we're gonna do is he's gonna feed the ball out of the air, and I'm gonna hit that. He's gonna feed the ball and I'm gonna hit it out of the air, making sure that I hit next to the basket here. So why do I have the basket? Because if I start bending my elbows here, you're gonna see that I'm gonna start hitting the racket and hitting my arms into the basket, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna make sure that I keep hitting far from the body, and this is gonna force me to keep those elbows and keep that follow through and backswing away from my body. So it's because I don't want to hit the basket, so Sergio's gonna hit it here. Okay, perfect. You can turn and then swing. So here, ready, and then you can do a follow through here, ready, and you can do a follow through here. Perfect, and one more time. Here, perfect. So as you can see, on this drill, we were forcing you to keep those elbows away. Even if you don't feel comfortable because you are used to bringing them, give it a chance. Feel that stretch on the arms, okay? Even if the ball goes a little bit high and you don't feel comfortable hitting here on the shoulder high, don't worry. We're working on keeping those elbows away on the backswing. We're not working on anything else, okay? So I'm gonna give you one more drill now. On the last drill that we're gonna do to correct this mistake, you're not gonna even need a partner. What we're gonna do is, you're gonna feed the ball by yourself, you're gonna take the racket back, actually you're gonna start already sideways. From here, you're gonna toss the ball, making sure that when you are waiting for the ball, the elbows are pretty far from the body. From here, you're gonna toss the ball with your right hand, and then you're gonna do the follow through, making sure that the elbows finish far from the body. So here, you're gonna toss, and you're gonna do the follow through. You can see how my elbows are very far from my body, so are gonna do it again. Make sure your ball is on the right hand. If you do it on the left hand, it's a little bit harder. So here, toss, and hit. Make sure also the toss is pretty far away from your body, because if you end up tossing the ball next to you, you're gonna force yourself to do this, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So, toss, step, and swing, okay? That's perfect. So, we covered the mistake number 1, now we're gonna go with the mistake number 2. What's the mistake number 2? Is not using the left hand on that two-handed backhand. There are so many amateur players that they end up hitting the backhand and they end up opening the racket because they are not able to close with their left hand, as you can see right now on the slow motion. So that's exactly what we're gonna be working on right now. So important things that we're gonna need to work on is, first of all, you gotta imagine that your two-handed backhand is like if you were hitting a lefty forehand. So imagine that you don't have your right hand on the racket and you are hitting a lefty forehand. What would you do? You would get under the ball, you would hit the ball, and then you would keep rotating your arm, so this way you can get that extra spin, right? That's exactly what we're gonna be working right now on this two-handed backhand. So, first way to improve the use of the left hand on your two-handed backhand is, you're gonna need a few balls, and by yourself, what we're gonna do is, you're gonna stay sideways already, and what we're gonna do is, we're gonna hit some lefty forehands. So from here, what we're gonna do is make sure you are holding the racket with the left hand on the same position that you do the two-handed backhand. There are so many players that when they do this kind of drills, they just switch grips. But that doesn't make any sense because we're really working on the two-handed backhand. So make sure you have exactly the same grip. And the same, don't hold it down here because you don't really do that on the two-handed backhand. You hold it up here, right? So do exactly the same that you do. So from here, what we're gonna do is, you're gonna toss the ball in front of your body. Okay, the racket is here ready. You're gonna toss the ball in front of your body and you're gonna hit. And make sure after you hit, you turn your forearm up here. So here, you're gonna hit and turn the forearm here. You can see how you start getting more spin into that ball. So again, here, toss, and accelerate. We're gonna do it one more time. And here, you're gonna toss, and you're gonna accelerate like if you were hitting a lefty forehand, okay? So that's the first drill. Now on the second drill, we're gonna make it a little bit harder. Now we're gonna need to also turn our body. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna start in right position, we're gonna start looking forward with the backhand grip already. We're gonna toss the ball, and after we toss the ball, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna turn our body with both hands on the racket. Make sure you don't do it with one because you're gonna end up leaving your body open or holding the racket in a different way. So turn the body with both hands on the racket, and once you get there, you're gonna let your right hand go and hit only a lefty forehand. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna get ready. Make sure you keep tossing with the right hand, it's gonna be much easier. So I'm here, I'm gonna turn both hands on the racket, and then I'm gonna swing the lefty forehand. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm here, looking forward, toss the ball, turn with both hands, and swing. We're gonna do one more time. I'm here, I'm ready, I toss the ball, I take it back, and then I swing. If you feel comfortable with this drill, you can even do it with some kind of movement. You can toss the ball a little farther away, a little back, a little forward. So you can also adjust a little bit with your feet. And now on the last drill, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna try to transfer these things that we're learning on these drills to a regular two-handed backhand. So what we're gonna do is, this exact same drill that we were doing before, but now we're gonna mix one lefty forehand with one two-handed backhand. So the first part, we're gonna do always the lefty forehand to get used to it and get that muscle memory. But then the second backhand that we're hitting, we're gonna hit a regular two-handed backhand, making sure that we keep turning that forearm. So I'm gonna show you. First, we start always with the lefty one, very important. So here, take it back with two hands and swing. Now we're gonna go with our regular backhand. So here, I'm gonna turn, and I'm gonna make sure I keep turning my forearm. So here, turn with both arms, and then let it go. And we're gonna do one more time with two hands. I'm gonna turn with both, and then I'm gonna swing. You can see how at the end I keep my racket almost straight, and then I keep pronating. So I keep turning fully my forehand to get that extra spin on those balls. And that's exactly what is gonna add you that extra top spin on those backhands to make it drop. So that was mistake number 2. We're gonna move on to mistake number 3. So what's the mistake number 3? Is that most players are not able to use their body properly on the two-handed backhand. What do? I can see most players do two main mistakes. They either hit with the body completely sideways, or they turn their body too early and they over-rotate their body, hitting the ball very late and not being able to connect that kinetic chain with the backhand, so that backhand doesn't really have any kind of rhythm, and most of the times they don't have any kind of control on that backhand. So the first thing that I'm going to give you to improve this mistake is, I'm going to ask you to stay sideways, and we're going to focus on two parts of the body. Just imagine all the space that we have in front of our body, and then the space we have behind our body. So the space I have in front of my body, what I'm going to do is, as I hit the backhand, I'm going to keep my body almost fully sideways, okay? So I'm going to hit, and as soon as the racket starts crossing the body to the other side, that's when my body is going to start turning forward and start using those legs and hips a little bit more. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit. You can see how my leg is starting to rotate a little bit, but I keep my body sideways. I hit. I stop right there as my racket starts going to the other side. I'm going to start opening my body forward. So we're going to do it again. I'm here sideways. I keep my elbows far from my body like we have been working on. You're going to see how I'm going to keep turning my forearm like we were working on the mistake number 2. So here, hit, stop right there. And as soon as my racket is going to start crossing now, I'm going to start turning. So you can also do that in a different way. I'm going to explain you right now. You're going to do the same, but you're going to hit. And right before you're going to start crossing the racket on the other side, you're going to pull the end of the racket and you're going to force yourself to turn the body. So it's with the body you start getting used to it. So stop, hit right there, keep going forward on the follow through, take the racket and pull it over. We're going to do one more time. Stop, hit right there, that's the point of contact, keep doing that follow through, and from here, turn your body forward, okay? Perfect, so that was the number 1 drill that we're going to do. Let's go to a number 2 drill. So now we're going to add balls. What we're going to do is, I'm going to feed the ball. I'm going to start sideways first of all. I'm going to hit. I'm going to hit the ball right there. And before I start taking the racket to the other side, I'm going to stop completely the motion, okay? So I'm going to hit the ball, keep doing the follow through on the same side of my body. And after that, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop for like a second. And then I'm going to keep opening my body. So I keep getting that rhythm of when to open the body. So here, I'm going to hold the ball with my right hand. Here, stop, and then keep using the body forward. So I'm going to show you again. Here, hit, and then before I even start going on the other direction, I'm going to turn. I'm going to do it one more time. And here, I'm going to hit, and then I'm going to keep turning my body. And now, the last drill that we're going to do, we're going to try to put all these things in practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, I'm going to toss the ball, I'm going to turn my body, and I'm going to try to get the rhythm of using my body at the right timing. But if we do it right away, it's going to be kind of tough. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix up one shadow swing with one regular backhand turning the body. So we're going to start always with the shadow swing so our body starts getting used to it. So from here, I'm going to take it back, I'm going to swing, and I'm going to turn my body. That was great rhythm. And I'm going to do the same back with the ball here, and I'm going to open the body. You can see that's a great backhand. So always first the shadow swing. Make sure you get intensity on the shadow swing to make it realistic. Now you're going to toss the ball, stop, and swing. We're going to do one more time. First shadow swing here, Get under, pronate your forearm, perfect. Now toss, and swing. So as you can see, I was able to fix all those mistakes on this last backhand. I was doing, first of all, I was keeping the elbows away from my body on the back swing and follow through. I was using my left hand to get that extra spin, and I was able to use my body. So hopefully all these drills are gonna help you out improve massively your backhand. And now what we're gonna do is, we're gonna move on to the one-handed backhand, and Sergey's gonna come here to do that.
Oh man, what the heck is that? Who the heck wrote that? What the heck is that? What a waste of time. Somebody wastes a lot of time doing this stuff. Well guys, so I'm gonna go into one-handed backhand, forget about two-handed. Arias, do you think your two-handed is better than my one-handed?
Well, it's going harder.
That's what she said. But anyways, I love my one-handed backhand. As a matter of fact, I played two-handed when I was very little, but my favorite player was Boris Becker, Pete Sampras. So, you know, at a certain point, I just started letting the right hand go, and I just started hitting one-handed backhand. Absolutely love that shot. It's amazing. Probably you're watching this because you want to get your one-handed backhand better as well. So today we're going to go into all the secrets and details how to get it better. But considering that you have so many options to look at on YouTube or different coaches, and sometimes they teach a little bit different, I really want you to focus on three main components. Now, there are three major general things that problems that people face with. All right, guys. So the three major problems that you're going to have in your one-handed backhand. Number one is when people get set up, don't turn all the way. So they are a little bit open, so their backhand becomes very muscular. They muscle the ball, and they just try to guide it. And when the ball comes, usually their backhand is much weaker than the forehand side. Now, another one, also a major problem for one-handed backhands, is when they swing through the ball, they don't take their left hand back, which doesn't keep them sideways, so they keep it really close to their body, and it forces them to overturn, and the ball might go even wider, or if you want to go down the line, it goes to the middle of the court. As a person, I had that problem when I switched from two-handed to one-handed back, and I started having that problem on my back, and so I had to work a lot on separating those hands. It has to be very relaxed motion too. Now, the third one is when people take their racket back, all of a sudden they open up their racket a little bit. As they start swinging, their racket stays open unless the pace of the ball is slow enough for you to actually fix it at the end of the swing and get some topspin. So in that case, a lot of times the high ball becomes a big problem because you just spread the balls out, it goes into the fence, or sometimes you just loop it back. A lot of times it starts slicing that one-handed backhand, and it becomes a big problem. So today we're going to give you very general and easy drills. They're going to help you to improve those things. All right, guys, so we're going to start with working on the shoulder turn on the first. So I'll actually need Aris for a few seconds. He's going to help me out a little bit. So what I'm gonna fit the ball to myself. You're gonna have to hold the ball with your racket in your left hand, but what we're gonna do, I'm gonna turn sideways, and he's gonna hold my racket a little bit on the back position. So I know I'm all the way. Now I'm gonna fit the ball and swing at it. So he's gonna release the racket. So let's get ready. So I'm gonna stay side, I'm gonna turn, he's gonna hold my racket, and we're gonna pull it back a little bit. If he feels like I need to adjustment, I'm gonna fit the ball, hit, very good. We're gonna do it again, turn sideways. He's gonna hold my racket, go, hit. And again, we're gonna turn sideways. He's gonna hold my racket, make sure you pull it back and hit, so you know in fact, because it's hard to see yourself from the outside. So sometimes it's very challenging to know if you're turning your shoulders or not. So another way to do it, so if you don't have a person, man, this thing wants me to read it. So if you don't have a partner, but you still want to work on your shoulder turn, you can use any kind of object. You can use a basket like that, or any kind of object. It could be a trash can, just a little bit bigger. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to, hopefully it's high enough. You can bring your racket back as you're turning. Make sure it's on the side all the time. And you're going to step in and then swing. You're going to turn, so you can look, you take your time. Don't try to rush and hit the basket or whatnot. You just want to look and make sure that your racket is on the side of your body, your shoulders are turned, you're pointing down. A lot of people try to pull it up and they stay like that with the back, and you make sure it's down, toss the ball, step in and swing through the ball. So it's very important. At that time, you might still see yourself opening the racket and things like that, which we're not working on that yet. So then try to feel and do a little more dynamic. So you're gonna fit the ball, turn, and try to feel how you use your whole body in that shoulder turn. It doesn't matter if you open your racket or not right now. Try to have a full turn. Feel dynamic when you do it. Because sometimes when you do it statically, you just get used to it. But as soon as you start hitting the ball, you get a problem because you don't turn your shoulders or whatnot. So next one, what we're gonna work on is separating your hands. There's few ways to do it. The one that I like to do with, especially with younger kids and even adults that's switching, let's say from two-handed to one-handed, to use this kind of bungee cords. You can use any other things, you just a little cord or anything. You can even put a string from your old racket. You're gonna attach it to your left hand. You can have a special band here if you want to, or you can kind of hold on to the that bungee cord. So what are you gonna do? Try to make sure it's a little bit tight when you get ready. So you're gonna do a split step turn. When you swing, it's gonna pull your left hand back. So you're gonna feel where your hand's supposed to be. So if you find yourself doing this and bringing the basket with you, it means you're doing pretty bad. So you have to make sure it happens naturally. You don't really feel the force. It's kind of pulling back yourself. So you're getting ready, split stepping, turning, and it's keeping you sideways, right? Now let's try to also hit the ball a little bit. So you're gonna be sideways, getting ready. He's gonna fit the ball, and then you're gonna hit. Yeah, there you go. That's better. All right, a few more reps. So making sure that your left hand is going back. You're gonna turn. There you go. And again. There you go. Making sure your left hand goes right back. So you want to stay far enough. There you go. You see, so it doesn't allow me to bring my left hand forward. So you're gonna get used to that motion. Now, as we did on the first drill, let's get a little more dynamic. Try to fit the ball and really focus and watch yourself to get the left hand back. So you're gonna go and get it back, and again, and get it back, and get it back. So you feel a little bit more comfortable with it. So in the third mistake, the problem usually happens when people take their racket back, they open up the racket too much, and as they start swinging, the racket just the ball goes so flat and it goes out so much. So now, where does this mistake come from? I find that sometimes people combine two ways to hit the ball. So if you watch Dominic Thiem on Wawrinka, for example, they keep their hands and their arms pretty straight and away from the body. That's one way to hit the one-handed backhand. And if you watch Federer, he brings the racket a little bit closer back, but he's staying very relaxed, so he's kind of just hanging on the racket a little bit. And then as he swings, he extends that right hand. But people sometimes, they bring their left hand close to their body and the right hand away from their body, which opens up the racket, and as they start swinging, the racket stays open. So you have to first of all to pick which way you're gonna hit, whether you're gonna hit away from your body or you're gonna hit close to your body at the beginning of the swing, and then decide if you're gonna stick to it. So I'm gonna show you how, for example, Dominic Thiem or Wawrinka would be hitting the ball. So they're gonna bring their racket out in front, and then they swing away from their body, so it looks like this, which actually generates probably a little more power, but it feels a little more tense as you do it because you're keeping it away, so it puts a little bit of a pressure on your arm. Federer's swing is a little more fluent and relaxed because you're keeping it closer, so you're really just being as relaxed as you can, and your left hand doing most of the job, your right hand just barely holding the racket. So it would look more like this, which is a lot easier to generate racket head speed, from my opinion, but you will have to choose for yourself. Now, if you see Shapovalov, there's one player that actually opens up the racket a little bit at the beginning, but still manages to clock those backhands tremendously, generating 110 miles an hour on his backhand. But I'm guessing that's just because he spends a lot of hours on the tennis court and he can afford having a little bit of a tweak on his backhand and still manage to hit unbelievable shots. So now what we're gonna do, in order to fix this problem, we're gonna start with some kind of object. I use my basket a lot of times, especially the rackets nowadays are pretty expensive. So if you hit it, you really don't want to do that mistake again. So when you're gonna get set up, you're gonna make sure your racket is on the side of the body, hit the ball, and hit it again, and hit it. You're gonna hit it again. So making sure, you see every time, even myself right now, I'm trying to get it more, a little bit further back, and I feel like I'm hitting the basket. So in case when you start watching the ball, a lot of times that problem will come out and you're gonna start hitting the basket, but obviously you don't wanna break your racket, so probably at a certain point you'll stop doing it. Like that. Like that, perfect. All right, so I got a little crack in my racket. I'll probably break it after anyways, but here we go. Nice. There you go, perfect. Now in the next drill, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do the same thing but without this basket, but making sure you focus on the backswing. Now you have to decide again whether you're gonna keep the ball away or close to your body. I prefer to keep it close. I'm gonna take a couple of reps. If you still don't feel it, you don't have time to look back, always put camera behind or on the side to see how your racket looks. I'm sure everybody has an iPhone or something where you can put on the stand and look at yourself. And just take a couple of reps. And then in the last one, you can start in the ready position already and make a split step and do all the elements we have been working on with the full shoulder turn, keeping your racket on the side, make sure it's not open, and separating your hands as you swing. So you're gonna split turn, and you know, you can do it a little faster. So you kind of feeling like you're almost playing the point. Now you can see you can do this exercise and you can increase the pace. You don't have to be so nice to yourself. You can actually increase the pace of the feed, so you're almost like playing the point. Of course, if you have somebody who can feed the ball to you, or you have a coach or a ball machine, you can use that. You can also do those exercises on the wall. I really hope it helps. We're gonna do some live ball drills just to see which stroke is better, two-handed or one-handed better, but you tell us, what do you think?